Sometime back I did a video that covered the basics and in-depth steps and tricks on how to do an oil and filter change on the BMW G310R. After that video, I got quite a few messages and comments to do the same on the 164V and the RTR 204V. I have done this numerous times on my RTR 180, 200 and my friends 164V and 200s, where the practice has now led me to follow an SOP for the same. For me, this usually begins with a good wash and wipe a day before the oil and filter change, or it could be in the morning if the oil change is scheduled in the afternoon or evening. This will give you fresh and clean nuts, bolts and screws to handle with. Now, should we do an oil change on a cold engine? Well, my answer is simple no, as the oil will be more viscous at lower temperatures, hence the rate of flow will be slower, plus it will get difficult to get that cold viscous oil out from the tiny galleries and oil cooler lines. Even if you leave the engine steady overnight and directly open the drain bolt, the amount of oil will be lower than what a warmed up engine will throw. That is one of the reasons that why you will find engine flushes demand for a good 4 to 5 minutes or even more of idling time before draining the oil. My trick here is to lose the drain bolt by a turn or half when the engine is cold, as it can become difficult to handle a tight heating drain bolt sitting at the bottom beside a hot exhaust pipe. So after warm up, we can wait for a minute or two to let the oil settle down in this sump while we let the drain bolt loose. By the way, this is a 17mm bolt and you can use a 17mm socket or a 17mm close and ring spanner to lose the drain bolt. Let the oil drain out, and while it is draining, we can proceed towards the oil filter situated on the clutch side. The oil filter cover is secured by these 3 8mm bolts. You can use a 8mm socket or a close and ring spanner to get them out. The top bolt is the longer one, while the rest of the two are identical. You must have already noted some oil getting out from the oil filter space. It will flow down and drip on the exhaust pipe sitting beneath. So make sure you clean and wipe that exhaust, as it will start to burn and smoke once the engine is cranked. With the filter cover out, take the old oil filter out and replace it with the new oil filter. TVS has reasonably priced the oil filter, so it can be replaced for every oil change, and it is common for both 164V and 204V. Now, some professionals prefer dipping and soaking the oil filter in engine oil before installing it. I personally leave that job to the engine and the oil pump, as this is just an oil change and not an engine assembly, where in some cases the internals are assembled dry. Now, before putting the oil filter cover back, make sure the rubber O-ring seal on the cover is intact and crack free. Screw back the filter cover bolts in their respective slots. If you want to know the torque spec, then these bolts are recommended with 10 to 12 Nm of torque. Before jumping in to fill the fresh oil, remember we still have to fit the drain bolt back. TVS has used a magnetic drain bolt to collect any metal shavings, so make sure you clean it before installing it back. The torque spec for the drain bolt is around 25 Nm. Measuring the drained oil gives you a rough idea on the previous engine oil's performance in terms of volatility. Along with your engine's health, it can give you signs of wear and tear with visible presence of sludge and deposits if found any. Finally, take the oil filling cap out. It has got an integrated dipstick for oil level checks, which brings me to the oil quantity. Now, TVS recommends 1200 ml of engine oil for oil change in both 164V and 204V. But I found if you leave the drain bolt out for long enough like I do, then you might require an additional 100 to 200 ml of engine oil. But before doing that, check the oil level on the dipstick. A secondary level check should be done after 5 minutes of idling the engine for about a minute or two. And that is how we do an oil change on a RTR 164V and a 204V. So that's it for this video, and I hope you guys have liked it.